What's up, everybody? MTG420 here. Today we are hanging out looking at Kykar Wind's Fury, the commander deck. Now, we haven't seen this card on this channel since it was a brawl deck back in the day, but now it's a full-fledged commander deck. We've been playtesting it a lot, getting wins with it, having blunders with it. We're going to look through it, show you what's in the deck. But I'm also going to be upgrading the deck today. I got a stack of cards here I want to put in this commander and some of my other commanders. So we're going to look at the cards here that worked, cards that didn't work, and we're going to try to replace them, make a new version of Kykar. Alright, everybody, now let's hang out and enjoy the day. So here, Kykar is the commander, Wind's Fury. It's a legendary creature with bird, wizard as its creature types. It has flying, and it says, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. And you can sacrifice one of those spirits and add red mana. And it's a 3/3. So for 4 mana, that's a pretty solid commander. You got a lot of options there. Mostly you can turn the spirits into mana, so you can keep casting spells way past your mana. So I don't worry too much about mana, I just worry about drawing cards and casting spells. I gotta keep my costs low too. Although I'm gonna kind of break the mold there a little bit. Whoops, knocked the camera stand. The infamous camera stand. So maybe I'll just like sort everything out a little bit real quick, and you'll all see real quick what's in this deck. I got things that create tokens. Here's my spells. I'm gonna take this out. Too much blue. Archmage's Charm. It's an amazing card, but you know, it's too much blue. I find it's just a dead card. Spectral Possession, making tokens. I'm actually gonna switch this one out if I can. It makes tokens and it's a sorcery, but I don't always get that triple white. It ends up costing way more than it needs to. Keeping it, Chemist's Insight, draw 2 cards with a jump start. So if you have to discard it or something, you can just cast it. And just casting cards more than once, always good. Now this, I missed a trigger on it a lot, so I'm going to take it out. Red Side Zenith, it was cool to give it a shot. But with the X, I thought I could just dump a bunch of spirits into it. It only does damage to one target creature or player. Like, maybe I can end one player like that. I'll consider keeping it in. But, because that would be cool. Last one, this act is dope. Sick board wipe, does a lot of damage to everything. Keeping that in. Lands. Now here's the card. Oh, there's Super Boost thing. Whirlwind of Thought. I thought this card would do a lot more, but with that high mana cost it does just cost way too much. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card. I'm gonna keep it and give it another shot. Who is this? Meticulous Excavation. Return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. If it has unearthed instead, exile it, then return that card to its owner's. Activate it. I'm gonna take that off if I can. I don't get it. Master Warcraft. This is clutch in many situations. You can only cast it before the attackers are declared, and you choose which creatures attack this turn, and you choose how each creature blocks this turn. So you can go in for a lethal. You can mess up an opponent's attack phase. You can just make it so they don't attack. It's like a version of Fog. It costs a lot, but I'm gonna keep it. It's good. Perforos is perfect card for this deck because as long as your devotion is red is less than 5, Perforos isn't a creature. But better than that, it's indestructible. And better than that, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Perforos deals 2 damage to each opponent. So your spirits are coming in, you do 2 damage to each opponent, and you can give your creatures +1/+0, although I always forget that's there. You probably like sacrifice a few spirits to give everyone +1/+0. Probably better keep 3 spirits than to give everyone +1/+0, unless that equals more than 3. Keeping it. I like this. Costs a lot, but you actually get that out a lot more often. I know it says 3 blue, but when I got this out last time, who am I kidding? I'm gonna take it out. Ha ha ha! But it's pretty sick. You know, if you have like a blue heavy deck or a 2-color deck, this would be dope to try out. It's a Temporal Anchor at the beginning of your upkeep. Scry 2. That is so good. Like, you don't need to underestimate how good that is. Scry 2 is so good every single turn. Whenever you choose to put 1 or more cards on the bottom of your library while scrying, exile that many cards on the bottom of your library. So you just exile them instead of putting them in your hand, or leaving them on top, I mean. And during your turn, you may play land cards, exile the Temporal Anchor. So good. As long as it's out, you're just getting cards out, fixing your draws so beautifully, and putting cards in exile if you're just going to cast them anyway. But that triple blue, that was much mana cost. The spirits helped me cast this last time and it did a lot of work, but I'm going to try to make it something different. The Fall of Lord Konda. This saga enters the battlefield. What? Sorry. I got lost in the text there. So this is Enchantment Saga enters the battlefield. You have 3 chapters on it. The first one is exile target creature and opponent controls with mana value 4 or greater. So that mana value has to be greater than 4. A lot of good stuff is that. You don't have to worry about this if it has a target, but it's a single target. We got 3 things on this enchantment. Let's keep reading. Each player gains control of all permanents they own. This is a nice spice pick for people who are stealing my creatures out there. I can get them back. Wait a minute, is it permanents? Who's stealing my permanents? Exile this saga and it transforms. What's it transform into? So it costs 3, so maybe it's a bit expensive for what I'm trying to make it do. When it dies, draw a card. That's it. No, this is I don't remember putting this in there. I'm ashamed. Phyrexian Rebirth, this is a dope card. Destroy all creatures, just wipes the board. Especially great if I have a ton of spirits, and then it just goes into the next part. You put an XX colorless horror artifact creature token onto the battlefield where X is the number of creatures destroyed this way. So you make 6 20/20s. If you have the doubling tokens card out, you get 2 of those. Such a sick card. You give it haste, win the game. Ossification. When it enters, you're gonna enchant basic land you control. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls. It costs too much for that ability. I'm taking it out. Chance for Glory. Winning with this card is so sick. It's an instant. Creatures you control gain indestructible. So good. Take an extra turn after this one. So good. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. So good. You just attack twice and win the game. Soul Ring stays. Lands, bunch of land. Take all the land, roll to the side. Arid Mesa. Haha. Cast out. That doesn't need to be in the deck. Visions of Beyond needs to be in the deck because it's a 1-drop that draws you a card. If a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, draw 3 cards instead. You're most likely going to have that. I haven't only had it a few times, but it's good. Tangible Virtue stays. Creature tokens you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. So all your spirits are getting +1/+1. Lauren's Escape. This is a crucial card in this deck. You want Kykar Wind's Fury on the battlefield at all times. If something's going to happen to him, give him Hexproof and Indestructible, and then you scry 1 on top of that for 1 mana. It's a cherry on top. It's a cherry on top for this deck. You get a Spirit when you cast it. Such a beautiful card. And again, all these spells that I'm casting also trigger Saheeli Sublime Artificer. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact. So good. This land. Fell the Mighty. Destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. All my spirits will remain. I'll just choose 1 and I'll keep all my spirits. Or 2 or whatever. And then just wipe the board of everything else that's more powerful. I'm really excited to see this card go off. I haven't used it yet. That goes there. God Dwelling. Same thing. Protect Kykar at all costs. Destroy target artifact you don't control. Or you can overload it, destroy all artifacts. This is why I don't play Mana Rocks, because I'd rather play this card. Ajani, Strength of the Pride. You gain life equal to the number of creatures you control, plus the number of planeswalkers you control. You gain lots of spirits. You can get a lot of life there. Create a 2/2 white cat soldier token named Ajani's Primate. Ajani's Primate is so good, so powerful. You're gaining life every other turn, so you're going between these two. Such a good combo. You get the Ajani's Primate in there. Creating it. You can create 2 if you have the doubling tokens. If you have at least 15 more life than your starting total, exile Ajani, Strength of the Pride, and each artifact and creature your opponents control. Board wipe. One-sided board wipe. I want to see this go off. It's never gone off. Such a threat. Your opponents have to deal with it instead of your Kykar. Protects Kykar, really. Left the stage is dope. You deal damage. Use Spectacle for 1 to cast it. Exile the top 2 cards. Card advantage on a 1-drop. Dope. Chaos Mutation. Here's the spice pick. Exile any number of target creatures controlled by different players. So that's any number. For each creature exiled this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of the library until they reveal a creature card. Puts that card onto the battlefield, then puts the rest of the bottom for the library in random order. I usually play this when I have like 5 creatures in this deck, and as you've seen, I have 0. I now have 0 creatures in this deck. I don't need creatures. I want to trigger Kykar every time I can. But this is like a spice pick that gets rid of my opponent's stuff. It's only backfired on me like every time I played it. But you know, it makes the game fun. Deflecting Palm. Here we go. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, Deflecting Palm deals that much damage to source's controller. Just deflecting massive amounts of damage right back at your opponent. So good. Cost 2. You got those colors all the time. Exile the top card of your library. During your next turn, you may play that card. During your next turn. Is that the turn after this one? I never actually read that. To make no sense. During your next turn, you may play that card? Yeah, I guess that means next turn. But you got Storm on there, so you're playing all your 1-drops. And then you play this for Storm, you exile the top 5 cards, and you get to play those next turn. So that's a good card. I like that a lot. Galvanic Relay. Sacrifice your spirits to play that for free. 3 spirits for this. Easy. Radical Idea. It's a draw card with a jumpstart. Killer card. Chromatic Lantern. Lands you control have tap, add one of any color. You know I said I don't play mana rocks, but there's one. Take it. Ether Spouts. For each attacking creature, its owner puts it on the top or bottom of his or her library. It's pretty much the X land card. Mentor's Guidance. Whenever you cast a spell, copy it. If you control a Planeswalker, Cleric, Druid, Shaman, Warlock, or Wizard, scry one, then draw a card. Here's your Wizard. Kykar's a Wizard. So you get to scry 2 and draw 2 essentially for 3 mana. That's dope. Green Orchard's land. Clear the Mind. Target player shuffles their graveyard into the library. Just refill your library with just the good stuff. Just the good stuff you've been playing. Draw a card. So good. And then you get land off the top. Minstrel's Theater. Good land. Insult. Damage can't be prevented this turn. If a source you control will deal damage this turn, it deals double the damage instead. So all your creatures are dealing double. If you got some sort of burn shooty spell, it deals double. Injury. Injury deals 2 damage to target creature and 2 damage to target player. So if you play the same turn as the insult, you do double. And so that's 4 and 4, and that can just take out exactly what you need after you've attacked as well. You can do that after you attack. 2 sorcery spells for the price of 2, but it's on 1 card, so it's 1 slot. I love cards like this. I play these kinds a lot. Jeskai Charm. I haven't used this too much. Put target creature on top of its owner's library. Deals 4 damage to target opponent. So I could win the game right there. And creatures you control get +1/+1, gain lifelink. That's the main purpose I have that for. All my spirits get +1/+1. I have lifelink on a killer swing. Yes, please. Norn's Wellspring, that's a new card. Whenever a creature you control dies, scry 1 and put an oil counter on Norn's Wellspring. So whenever I sacrifice a spirit, pretty much, scry 1 and put an oil counter on it. That tap 1 mana or sacrifice 1 spirit. Tap it. Remove 2 oil counters from it and draw a card. So I'm getting all these oil counters because I'm sacrificing my spirits. And I just play 1 or just sacrifice it. And when you sacrifice a spirit for that, it puts an oil counter on it. So that's just perfect synergy with Kykar. Kykar was at the oil, Norn's Wellsprings this whole time. Kale's Command, I like this card, especially in this deck because this is ramp in white. You don't see that too often. You choose 2, so obviously you're going to search your library for a basic Plains card, reveal it, put it into your hand. And then you can gain 2 life and scry 2, or you can create a 2/2 colorless construct artifact. So you can double that if you have the card for that. You put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control against double strike. Give Kykar 2/2 and double strike. Yes, please. That's usually how I do it. Resurrection Orb. I like this card. I haven't really played it that much, but I like it. And you put it on Kykar. When Kykar dies, return that card to the battlefield under its controller's control at the beginning of the next end step. And he has lifelink. Beautiful card. Cost 2. Triggers Kykar really cheap. Expensive cost to equip it, but you can just sacrifice spirits to do that. Defiant Strike. Creature gets +1/+0 and draw a card. It's a cantrip. It triggers Kykar, gives you a draw card. That +1/+0 isn't always relevant, but the other 2 things, or triggers and you draw a card, stays. Oops, wrong belt. Triome. Win. Anointed Procession. That's my doubling tokens card. It's beautiful. Hollow Fountain. That's a win. Shadow Spear, cost 1, triggers Kykar, and then you get a sick equipment that has +1/+1 and trample and lifelink on your commander, Kykar, or some crazy token that you made. And for 1, permanents your opponents control lose hexproof and indestructible. So your opponents are always doing that, especially when they play their 1-drops that give indestructible and hexproof like I do. Like, just for 1, you counter that. So usually I don't like to play equipment in these kind of decks, they're very distracting, but you know what? This one's a killer shiny one too. Beautiful card. Here's a good one. It's a 1-drop. I put this in here because it's a 1-drop, and you can kick it. Target creature gets -1, -0 until end of turn. If the spell is kicked, that creature blocks the turn if able. So you can have your opponent force them to block something while Kykar's attacking. Beautiful card. And you draw a card. It replaces itself no matter what. So for 1, you do something fairly relevant, and then you draw a card. Belongs in this deck. Call for Unity. This card is so good. Beginning of your end step, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, put a Unity counter on it. You sacrifice your spirit, something's leaving this turn for sure. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each Unity counter on it, so you have a reliable source of triggering the Revolt. Beautiful card for this deck. That's a sick mountain, eh? Sacred Foundry is dope. Coming in clutch. Some dope land. I got Island that looks sick. Aspirant's Ascent. Costs 1 blue mana on there. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+3 and gains flying and toxic 1. So if you get your creature to have 10 damage. You can give it toxic. Oh no, toxic 1 only, so it never deals damage. Huh? Why'd I put this in here? Gains flying? What the hell? Okay, that's an easy replace. I thought it said infect or something, not toxic 1. Levitating statue is dope in this deck. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on it. So for 2 mana, it triggers Kykar, and then every time you do a non-creature spell after that, put a 1/1 counter on this very statue. And for simple 2 mana, it becomes a 1/1 with all those +1/+1 counters on it. Sacrifice a spirit for that ability. You just create a massive creature. You could give it infect, I guess. Jeskai Ascendancy, that's a classic card. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creature you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. So you have your army of spirits already. You cast 3 1-drops, easy peasy. You get +1/+1 for each. Oh, so good. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Discard your lands you're not using. Beautiful. Now this card has been a dead card in my hand a lot, but you equip it to Kykar for 1. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. I'm gonna switch it out if I can. My land. Look at this beautiful land. Rapid Hybridization. This is a target removal spell, but it costs 1, so it's sticking around, and that creature's controller puts a 3/3 green frog lizard creature onto the battlefield. Symmetry Matrix. It's a 4-cost artifact. Triggers Kykar. Whenever a creature with power equal to its toughness enters the battlefield under your control, so your 1/1 spirits that enter the battlefield, you may pay 1 mana. If you do, draw a card. When it enters, you can actually sacrifice it and just turn it right into a draw card ability. Cool card. Insidious Will. 2 blue. Choose 1, counter target spell. There's your counter magic. You may choose new targets for target spell. So if you're targeting Kykar, protect Kykar by targeting it somewhere else. Or copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Copy a spell, it's always dope. Instant speed, dope card, costs 2 blue, no problem. And pay the other 2 with 2 spirits, easy. We got Sick Mountain. Is it a mountain? Yes, it is. Sick Plains. Riptide Laboratory. For 2, you can return target wizard you control to its owner's hands. That's Kykar. Use Ponder. 1 cost. Draw a card. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put them back in the order you may shuffle your library. So sick card. Draw for 1. Beautiful card. Definitely belongs in this deck. Mountain. Buried Ruin. Here's some target removal. Source of Plowshare. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. It's a powerful, powerful spell that's been going and going and going, dealing lots of damage to people's decks. Depths of Desire. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Create colorless treasure token. So that's really good. Return target creature to its owner's hand. You know, you do this at the right time, with the right intent, you're gonna do a lot. You can change the game. And plus, I get a treasure. Costs 3, but you can just sacrifice 2 spirits, make it a 1-drop. Get 1 spirit back. Booyah. Kykar is so good, you know. People these days, they're building Narset decks and putting Kykar in them because the Narset gives prowess, and that's disgusting. How dare you? Kykar is where it's at. Mind Swipe. It's a nice little spice pick because it's my... Oh. Cards everywhere. Oh my goodness. Like my deck is trying to join the replace pile. Where was I? Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. Your opponent's most likely going to tap out because they're so excited to play their spell. So you can just leave that at 1. It's so good. And deals X damage, so you can overload this too if you have a lot of mana, a lot of spirits. And it's just like, oh, you almost have them like, I got my killer spell, and then nope. Prairie Stream, dope card. Collective Effort. This has options. You can escalate by tapping an untapped spirit that you control. And you can choose 1 or more. Destroy a target creature with power 4 or greater. Destroy a target enchantment. Or put a 1/1 counter on each creature target player controls. You target yourself. All your spirits get counters on them. You can destroy a target permanent, a target enchantment. This is a really versatile card. So normally, you got to be picky and choosy about your spot removal. But when you have options like this card slots in here is versatile. So good. Triggers Kykar. So good. Into the Story. For 7 mana, this spell will draw you 4 cards, but this spell costs 3 less to cast. If an opponent has 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you're gonna have that. You're casting spells every turn. Wait, if an opponent, you're playing it out. You're making your opponent destroy things, whatever. They're gonna have the game, late game, this you're gonna draw you 4 cards. Early game, you sacrifice 5 spirits and play 2 blue to cast this. You get a spirit back. This spell costs 3 less, so you're gonna have to sacrifice 2 spirits after that. Such a good card in this deck. Your temple is under attack. Choose one. You can pray for protection. Creatures you control gain indestructible, so you protect your spirit army. When someone tries to board wipe, you give them all indestructible. Or you and target opponent each draw 2 cards. You just make an alliance. You draw 2 cards. Like, let's draw 2 cards. Let's win the game together. There's Path to Exile. Killer card. Exile target creature card. Put it in the thing and give them a land. Last Thoughts. Draw a card, but you can cipher it onto Kykar. So when Kykar is flying in doing damage, you're just drawing cards. Put it on a spirit. Take the heat off Kykar. Just drawing cards. Such a good card with a cipher ability. Costs 4 and you trigger Kykar. If this doesn't perform, I'm going to switch it out. But for now, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. 2 mana, Sky Diamond, triggers Kykar. Enters the battlefield tapped, add blue. Maybe I should switch this out for a draw card. We'll see. I can put it over there for the meantime. Bitter Reunion. This is a common. But when it enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. This is an enchantment that triggers Kykar. And for 1, you can sacrifice it. And creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. You create a bunch of spirits. Sacrifice this at the right time. Boom, you're winning the game. Create a bunch of spirits and cast that for 1. And do that ability for 1. So here's Defabricate. It's got options on it. You counter target artifact or enchantment spell. If the spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. So you're going to exile that spell. Or counter target activated or triggered ability. So this is why this is in there. You can counter the triggered ability. You hold this off for an activated or triggered ability that's going to win the game. You counter it. Boom. But other than that, you're only trying to counter target artifact or enchantment spell. So it's kind of restrictive in that sense too. Only costs 2 and triggers Kykar. Exile target artifact. This is way too specific. I've been playing this for a long time and I haven't really seen it pay off. I'm going to keep it in anyway. Here's the Sigil of Valor. I'm going to try to trade it up. Whenever a equipped creature attacks alone, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other creature you control. Wow, this is dope. You equip it for 1. Triggers Kykar for 2. Equip it to Kykar for 1. And then it attacks and you have an army of spirits making it Kykar, cheering Kykar on. You can Kykar super strong and then destroying and then sacrificing all the spirits after to cast more spells. Like, what a dope card. That's a dope card. Alright, so that's the main deck. Here's all the lands. We're going to have to shuffle that real good later. Here's Saheeli. I'm going to put Kykar down here with the logo. So here, it's time for Judgment. Here's the Judgment. So here's the cards I'm thinking of putting in. Let me flip through them. I don't know about Aurelia. It's a creature. Kind of breaks the theme. This is for Zilakama. Whoops. Shouldn't be revealing too much. Need to put all these aside. I don't know what those are doing there. This is for somebody. It's Uncivil Unrest. No, that's for someone else. That's for someone else. That's for someone else. Here. This is for Kykar. Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction deals X damage to each creature where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. So this is like Blasphemous Act. You can potentially do a lot. I'm putting lots of creatures out there. I'm the one making this. I'm the one buffing up the power of the spell. When I need that board wiped, I'm going to wipe that board. Get Kykar out again. Start building an army again. This is definitely going in. And it's going to replace. So 4-drop. Try to replace it with a 4-drop. Here we go. That's a good upgrade. Get out of here. Cast out. Cast out. Cast out. Chain Reactions in the house. Okay. That's for another deck. Here we go. Court of Fire. Here's an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you become a monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, Court of Ire deals 2 damage to any target. If you're the monarch, it deals 7 damage to that player or a permanent instead. So this is like a spot removal, but it gives you monarch. It costs 5, but you're sacrificing spirits. It costs 2. So let's put this in. So it's a 5-drop. See, there's a 5-drop here. We can choose out, take out. Maybe that one. Yeah. This is pretty much a 5-drop. Get out of here, Archmage's Charm. Get out of here. Court of Ire. Coming in. I'm making you the monarch. Let's see what's here. So for another deck. Convoke. This has Convoke. So you're tapping your spirits instead of sacrificing them, giving them some longevity. Deals 6 damage to target creature, planeswalker, or battle, or destroys her artifact. So you got some versatility on here. People playing artifacts all the time. You want to destroy them. It's a 6-drop with Convoke. So it's like a 3-drop. Instead I'm going to replace Destroy. So removal. Yeah, here it is. Shattering Blow gets the upgrade. So because it costs 1 when you do Convoke. So get out of here. You're going to direct upgrade. Sometimes you get direct upgrades like that. What a good card. What a good new card from a new set. And it's so... Like, it's a common that costs a lot, but because of the deck that it's in, it actually becomes super good. That's for another deck. I do want to try this in this deck. Yeah. So this is the Invasion of Kaldheim. And it has, when it enters the battlefield, exile all cards from your hand. Then draw that many cards until the end of your next turn. You may play exile cards this way. This is your card advantage. Triggers Kykar on the back. This card a land card. And it deals 2 damage to any target. And whenever you discard a land card, exile the top card of your library. You may play the card, so it gives you more card advantage. You know what? Actually, this doesn't make the cut. Okay, boom. I had some more cards somewhere. What happened to those?